All right, welcome everybody. Hope you all got to have a little bit of good discussion. We got pretty intense in my session. Adam, we have some people who are calling on your data of JETAA presentation with some really effective results. So,
okay, I'll be curious. I mean, if any chapter is interested in helping, manage take a look at their spreadsheets and pull data out of it, it's something I'm dorky about and like to do. So I'll offer myself up for that kind of work.
I think people are ready for the next step of making all of that data available to the other chapter leaders. So we've got a lot of challenges to take where we're at and bring it to the next level, which I'm really excited about. All right, I think our flow of people joining has slowed down. Do we want to go ahead and roll into our next topic? All right, very good. So I guess I'll go ahead and kick us off. I think I'm on the right session. It's been a long 3 days. We were talking about reimagining the post-pandemic NatCon, correct? Okay, good. So let me share my screen. We wanted to talk a little bit about what it takes to host a NatCon in a world where we're potentially in person. And we had a really great question earlier in the day about future NatCons, whether we are intending to go back in person or not. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And then we do want this to be a discussion of, what works for you guys about NatCon, what doesn't work for you, what you might like to see in the future, et cetera. So this will be a little bit discussion based. Before we get into that, are you guys able to see my screen? Okay, perfect. If your chapter is potentially interested in hosting a NatCon in the future, these are kind of like the top 3 of what you need to know or be thinking about before you put yourself forward. So a NatCon is funded in part by Claire and in part by MOFA. And we talked a little bit during the GIA sessions about the timelines that Claire and MOFA need to follow in order to get their information in line with the Japanese fiscal year, right, which is from April to March, which is why our GIA is also from April through March. So we need to notify, or a chapter that is interested in hosting a NatCon should be talking to their local consulate by no later than the November before you are interested in hosting, so that the consulate can include NatCon funding in their budget request to Tokyo the next year. Obviously, November is kind of the drop dead date. So in order to be polite and good partners to our consulate, we are going to want to talk to them sooner than that so that they have time to ask questions. You have time to gather information, which the CRs can absolutely help you with regards to how much a NatCon normally costs. What do you think it might cost in your area? What are any other considerations that you need to take into consideration? You can tell it's really late on day 3, sorry. So you are going to probably, I would recommend reaching out maybe early October or mid-October, since that's where we are right now if you have interest in hosting in the future. Valerie came up with this excellent recommendation from her experience in hosting a regional conference through Southeast. There's a recommendation of having about $5,000 or so in your chapter bank account. Everything that we do via JET Alumni Association is reimbursement based, which means that you're going to need to put up funds from your chapter bank account first, and then you will be reimbursed for those funds by Claire. Things can be really expensive when you're planning an event. So having a nice cushion in your bank account is going to be important. So if you are thinking about hosting a NatCon and you do not have that money in your bank account, that may help you determine how far out you need to consider and what type of fundraising efforts you need to do in the meantime in order to get that bank account cushion built up. The other thing to note is that you will have plenty of help if you are interested in hosting a NatCon. So JETAA USA, kind of referring to your CRs, our amazing NatCon working group that we gather each year, are going to help you with content, communications, registration, dealing with our network connections, our ecosystem connections, working with US JETAA, reaching out to Claire, reaching out to MOFA for their support in that event. The Board of Advisors, the JETAA USA Board of Advisors, is here for advice and strategy, as they have all put on many a NatCon and can be there to assist. I'm getting Valerie reminding me in the chat here that MOFA is also assisting with lodging and accommodation. So part of that request, when you reach out to your consulate, they are going to need to be checking into cost for paying for the delegates that are visiting in person to NatCon to have somewhere to stay for the duration of that conference. US JETAA is going to help with certain content and funding. We want to give a big shout out to Jim Gannon, US JETAA, and the Saskatchewan Peace Foundation for their financial support, as well as their logistics support in securing Dr. Sheila Smith for our keynotes speech on Monday, Friday, wherever it is. I'm so sorry. Like, can you see my brain falling apart as I'm speaking? And Claire is going to give us guidance on funding as well. Of course, Claire is our GIA support and guidance always. And then we also have MOFA written down for supporting a reception. So this evening we have a Claire reception. Normally at an in-person NatCon, we would also have a reception hosted by MOFA as well. So for next year, we're really excited to be able to say that JETAA NC tried very, very hard to have this year be an in-person NatCon. It did not work out. This is where point number one comes from. We all learned that we need to reach out to the consulate by no later than November. So kudos to Melissa and the JETAA NC team for trying their very hardest this year. And they are still interested in trying for 2023. So we wish them all the best of luck, and we are going to be here supporting them in reaching out to their consulate and providing all the necessary information for hopefully an in-person NatCon next year. With that said, we are also actively looking for a chapter that is interested in hosting NatCon 2024. We're thinking significantly in advance here, and there's a few good reasons for that. Number one, Melissa, as well as Anna from JETAA NC, have been very active participants on the NatCon planning committee this year, which means that they have a leg up and they know what to expect next year. So that is one bonus. And then of course, the earlier that we get started, the easier it's going to be in the less rushing that's going to happen at the end. So I want to invite Melissa to share a little bit of your experiences with regards to trying to get an in-person 2023 NatCon, and then we'll talk a little bit about our goals for a hybrid NatCon in the future, and then we will turn it over to discussion.
Sure, yeah. We did start the conversation around hosting NatCon, I think a little bit late. I think it was January, February or so when we kind of early stages. And by the time we were having that conversation with the consulate, it was really too late in terms of like budgeting to make some adjustments and secure the proper amount of funding, but also kind of from a logistical standpoint, given where things were with Omicron around that time, we all decided that it really didn't make sense to it was a little too premature to go with an in-person option. But I think that even going through the exercise of having those conversations and putting it on the radar of the consulate is really advantageous now as we kind of move into it. We're expecting to continue those conversations after NatCon and share a lot of what we've learned from this round, from participating in the working group, to be able to kind of smoothly move into exploring opportunities for hosting next year. So I definitely, if anyone's interested in 2024, get involved soon because it definitely is better to have a longer window.
Thanks so much, Melissa, for sharing. So if you are considering, even considering a NatCon in the future, reach out to the CRs. Let's just chat. Having a conversation with us does not mean that you're on the hook for the NatCon. If you have that conversation and decide now it's just not the time, no harm, no foul whatsoever. So if you are considering, reach out to us, either one of us individually or country rep at JETAAusa.com, and we're happy to have that conversation with you. Our goal moving forward is to try to line up at least a year in advance who is going to be hosting the next NatCon. So this year, we know that JETAA NC has been trying their darndest, and we want to give them the opportunity to continue trying. But for 2024, we would love to have that locked down, obviously prior to next November. So please be thinking, and we'll be reaching out to the chapters to follow up, whether you reach out to us first or we reach out to you. And I want to thank Valerie too. Like last year was really the first year that the CRs had reached out and said, hey, who's interested in hosting NatCon? So I know as a veteran, I was surprised and delighted by that. So we will be continuing that practice to make sure that we give everybody the opportunity. The last words that I'm going to say are we want to do hybrid. And this is the CR speaking here. We find tremendous value in inviting people who are not only 2 delegates from each chapter, but all leaders can really value from what's happening can receive value from what's happening at NatCon, as well as general JET alumni who may be curious about how our organization is run and may be interested in leadership in the future, right? This is a great opportunity for us to find potential future leaders, which is something that all of us are desperately searching for. That means that we want to have an event that is in person and is very satisfying in-person event, but also an event that is very satisfying online as well, a true hybrid that will have support for the people who are online rather than just making them feel like they're a bolt-on to what is happening in the room. So that is a little bit of a lift. So if you are interested in volunteering for that potentially, whether you're a tech guru or you really enjoy the online format, we're going to be looking for people to help with facilitating the online side of the house, having events for the online people while the in-person people are off doing their own parties and events so that no one feels like they're missing out, that kind of thing. So it is ambitious, but we really do hope that that's something that we can do next year and that we'll have enough support in the community and enough hands to make that possible.
Mm-hmm. And there's a question in the chat, actually. Alicia was asking how the CRs would choose a chapter if more than one expresses interest. And I will admit, I don't know if that's ever happened. I can say historically, when Rocky Mountain did it, we actually just approached the CRs at the end of one NatCon and said, we'd really like to do it. And that, I think the process has been relatively informal in the past, but we really want to give people more opportunity to like express their interest. And I see Matt's hand is up, so go ahead.
Technically, if it's a competition, the chapters vote. You just put it up for a vote. And it has happened very often. So you just put it before, hopefully, the chapter council, and they'll decide where they want to go. That's how it's done traditionally.
I'll give a shout out to our friends up north. They are doing, meaning Canada, sorry. I'm in New Orleans, everyone's up north. Canada is going to be doing a platform submission this year. They had multiple chapters that were interested. So in the interest of being fair, they essentially did it as we do our CR elections and said, please submit a platform by such and such date, and we will put it out to the chapters to submit a vote. So that is also a possibility as well.
And one idea that had been floated last year, but it just never materialized, was for a chapter who just kind of knows that it's going to be a long time before we could ever have an in-person NatCon just due to whatever the reason. Maybe if it was hybrid, then maybe your chapter kind of hosts the hybrid, hosts the online portion. So you assist with the working group and do whatever it takes to do that. So that's been an idea that was floating out there.
Megan, if I could just throw in about Canada. Actually, I was working with Ty to put together guidelines for what those platforms should look like. So I'd be happy to share that. If you can get it from Ty, or I'd be happy to share it with you also.
And
We'd love to. All about collaboration.
And Matt, there's a discussion happening in the chat about like if could chapters co-host a NatCon, and more specifically the concept of like money moving across boundaries is in there, and like I believe that comes with some challenges from the Claire perspective. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, that's going to be really difficult, potentially. I mean, it's not impossible, but how you split expenses and move money across, we've never done it. I will say Portland has hosted an international meeting. I think they've hosted at least a NatCon, certainly an international meeting, but it is quite a lift. We'd have to talk about that, about how we would split those things up, because that has never been done before. And I'm afraid I can't give you a clear answer right now.
Yeah, and the working group is also an additional help. There's no limit to how many could be on it. We started out with 20 plus the CRs, and for whatever reason, everyone couldn't participate, but it could be a lot more people that could help you get the work done.
Okay, Lindsay, go ahead.
I think Valerie chimed in kind of with my real discussion here. It's in terms of Portland, and I can only speak for myself as a very small chapter, or what I think of as a very small chapter. We just don't have the people to help organize this. So my question is sort of, if a small chapter that only has 3 officers at the moment were to, volunteer to do something like this, what exactly is the kind of time sink on those 3 officers to pull this off? Because we all have jobs. And I wasn't around for the one time that Portland apparently did host the NatCon, which was while I was in Japan over a decade ago. So I have no idea how this went, and we don't have any other history on that. But I can't imagine putting in any more time than I already do towards JETAA. And that's where I kind of fall apart on the feasibility of hosting something like this. And I mean, a couple of us can offer some time to Seattle if Seattle wants to host, or Northern California, but we couldn't necessarily put in all of that energy ourselves.
Yeah, and I think that's where our 19 chapter network comes in really handy. Like New Orleans has never put on a NatCon and probably never will put on a NatCon as much as people want to visit, because our board is just simply too small. But I think that we should definitely brainstorm ways that we can assist chapters that are smaller that would love to host a NatCon, figure out how to do that. And that's something that we can work on over the next several years. Ty, go for it.
I'm going to speak up. It's Ty up in Canada. That's been mentioned a couple times. We have a few small chapters, and one way we've done it recently, and that was one of the earlier CanCon routes, was to bring any smaller chapters that was interested to make sure they come to the previous conference. And because West Country Route, we had a budget, we would actually bring to the NatCon, because it's a bigger scale, and see what it's about. And it's almost like on the ground site visit before it goes through. And don't be discouraged. I'm speaking up because these smaller chapters, somehow what they had learned, their success stories always came from, we had random alumni come out of the Grainwood, offered up a venue space, and we haven't seen him since. Something like that. But then when you actually spend enough time gearing up and making call outs, you'll be surprised that alumni may step up to help where you thought you wouldn't be able to. And I believe US structure, you guys actually have it structured that the programming actually, JETAA USA helps with all the programming, and that takes a load off of the conference planning, because in Canada, the whole city used to plan both programming and the logistics, which was a lot. And so now this year we're moving forward piloting to split up the two portions and see how that works, because we haven't done it before. We'll see, can we actually plan programming when we're not actually looking at all the ground space too? So that'll be new communications that we're going to build up. So small chapters, don't be discouraged, it's possible. And I do know that Canada, it's different, that we're about half to 1/3 the size of your conference. So we do know the logistics is different, but if you want to speak to small chapters that have hosted in Canada, reach out to me and I can put you in touch with those organizers, and you can, get some encouraging words or some things to think about that you would want to consider. So putting it out there. Thanks.
Very good. Thank you, Ty. We have 1 minute before we roll into our special event, which I hope that you guys are super, super interested in. But I did want to do a rapid fire question. Melissa was kind of looking to solicit a little bit of information. Melissa, if you can ask one question to the community and have them type their answers in the chat, what is the #1 question you would like them to answer?
Are we still going to do the breakout session, or what's?
This one was not intended to be a breakout.
Oh, okay. So I won't ask
the group
those
discussion.
questions. Let me think. I didn't quite have one prepared for that. I think that definitely as we kind of look, this is related a little bit if we are going to do that, those other questions, but as we think about potentially hosting hybrid, meaning some in person, some virtual, I think that the biggest question on my mind is, what is the value of the in-person events, or what should kind of be prioritized and highlighted in the in-person portion, you know, that can't necessarily be accomplished virtually, but that would complement virtual elements, if that makes sense. So I know that's kind of a complicated question, might take folks a little bit of time to think about it, but yeah, what would be the biggest value to having some in-person component to the future NatCon?
Very good. Sorry to put you on the spot there, Melissa. Guys, think about Melissa's question. Jot the answers in the chat. That's something that's really valuable to the NatCon Planning Committee for 2023 to know going into it. So we'll be keeping an eye on the chat, and we are going to be staying in this room and rolling straight into our special event. So Adam, I believe we're handing it over to you for that.
Thank you. So hello, everybody. I'm going to apologize a little bit. I have been coming down with some allergies, so my voice is getting raspier and raspier with each minute that passes, but I will stay the course. So we had been talking for some time, and I'm willing to bet many a CR in the past has also thought about this, but we thought it was time to consider how to celebrate the history of our organization, this ecosystem event. We've kind of seen how far back JETAA goes and how long people have been coming together, organizations have been coming together to support us. And so we thought it was high time to consider an award for outstanding members of the community who bring something special to JETAA and really help us thrive and grow. And so we had to think about this for a little bit and what we were going to do. And we started to kind of recognize, like, thinking about different people over the years who had done so much. And you know, some people know how much they've done, some people don't. Some things happen behind closed doors that are never witnessed. Some amazing work is done at the local level in a chapter that might not be seen larger than that. And so we finally decided on an award, and we also have decided on a recipient, but we wanted to do something different and special with this award. So I think that there is no one else any of us can think of who maybe has done more for JETAA over the years in different capacities and in different ways. This has been so readily available to answer questions and just provided support as, you know, in an official capacity, but as a friend and as a mentor, somebody who's really given an enormous amount of their time and energy. And so we decided that we would name this award in their honor. And so going forward into the future, we hope that we can make it an annual or semi-annual tradition to hand out what we have decided to call the Matthew Gillum Award for Dedicated Service. And so we are announcing the Matthew Gillum Award for Dedicated Service in honor of Matt, who has done so much. For the newer alumni, you haven't gotten a chance to know him yet, but I met Matt in 2013, and actually we became friends slowly over Facebook. And now when I go back to New York, we usually hang out, and he has shown me his secret sunset spot. So as a friend and as a mentor, I have to say thank you so much to everything you have done for JETAA over the years. And although I kind of gave it away earlier with a little faux pas, I would also like to announce that the first recipient of the Matthew Gillum Award is in fact Matt Gillum himself. So give me one moment here, but this is what the award will look like. So we hope that we can honor, there's nothing new to show here. I hope people saw it for a moment there. Well, I won't take that as a concern, but we will be awarding it every year or semi-annually, but there will be a process to figure out. But Matt, it is our honor to have awarded you with that award. You don't have it by your desk still, do you? Make sure.
What, the proper one? The
yeah.
second one?
Well, we did send him one with a typo, which is now considered a rare collector's item. So
have it as you instructed me. There's a package sitting here unopened. Yeah. So
well, We will not make Matt give a speech or anything like that. We promised we wouldn't make him do that, but he is going to be spotlighted right here. But we did have a chance to talk with him before we decided to do this, and he did give us permission to use his name for this award. So thank you for Matt for letting us honor you and for allowing us to include you in our community for many, many more years to come. So, so it's really our pleasure.
Yeah, I will say I don't have a speech, but I'd like to thank my producers and my funders and my, but I am incredibly touched, and I really, I'm just gobsmacked. I appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, so much. As an Iowan, I couldn't really say, yes, you can use my name, but I didn't say, no, you can't use my name. I just want to say it's really hard for a Midwesterner to agree, to feel comfortable with that, but it's an incredible honor, and I do thank you very much. So I look forward to hopefully working with you for a few more years at least, and hope we can get all this stuff done. So thank you very much.
Well, we will take your ambiguous Midwestern maybe as an East Coaster yes. So thank you very much.
It's a Japanese yes, yeah.
Correct. I am very happy to pass the torch over to Megan.
And Matt, when we were redoing the bylaws, we specifically made sure that the BOA bylaws were written in such a way that you can be on our board of advisors for the rest of eternity after you leave Claire. So.
Oh, well, yeah, thank you. I couldn't quite do that with the international ones, but I did get myself on the board at least for the time being. So yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
Perfect. So Adam had alluded to the fact that this award is going to have like a nomination procedure. We are still figuring out the details on how we want to do that, but essentially we want the community to be able to nominate individuals to receive this award who have just really given outstanding service to the community in some way, a dedicated service, whether that service is over the period of 22 years, where you are the one who is teaching us our own history because we don't know it ourselves, such as Matt, or whether it's someone who's really gone above and beyond in some spectacular way for the community. So we wanted to take the CR prerogative this year as the first year and the inaugural year to recognize somebody who has gone just astonishingly above and beyond in helping in a number of different areas. I cannot talk in such a vague way that this person is not going to figure out immediately who I'm referring to. So I'm just going to call indicate that the second recipient of this award, the first one not sharing a name with this award, is Melissa Golden. So Melissa, I don't know if you have your package somewhere handy. I forgot to remind you earlier today, but if you can go ahead and open that up. You are going to be the first non-synonymous recipient of the Matt Gillum Award for dedicated service. And I have to tell you guys why. And obviously you saw Melissa in the bylaws session yesterday. Melissa has spent so many hours on the bylaws, not just in one-on-one meetings with me, group meetings with the bylaws working group, but like hours of her own time just wading through our bylaws and doing research on our bylaws and educating us on our bylaws. Besides that, she attempted at the last minute to get JETAA ANC to host an in-person NatCon, has been absolutely invaluable on the NatCon working group. This Zoom event session would not be happening right now without Melissa's guidance on setting up the Zoom events. Truly, she has been basically a fourth CR. Well, all of the work with none of the glory, I guess, but also simultaneously is being a chapter president at the same time. It's truly astonishing. So Melissa, it is absolutely my honor to have been working with you so closely. And I know bylaws are only halfway done, so you're not rid of me yet. But thank you so much for all that you have done in the last several months and the amount of sleep that you have lost on our behalf. You do not have to give a speech since we did put you on the spot, but if you would like to say a few words, then please, you're more than welcome to do so.
I'm really speechless, and yes, it's real. There is something to see here. But yeah, I really can't say too much except thank you so much, and it is a wonderful honor to receive the Matt Gillum Award, because I mean that, Matt, your name means a lot, and you've been also integral to all of the work, and I've appreciated getting to learn so much from you and look forward to continuing to work with you. So this means so much to me, and thank you everybody. And yeah, yoroshiku onegaishimasu. I'll definitely still be around, still be working on bylaws.
Well, now
I
you
can-
can't leave. We've bribed you to stay.
Yeah. I can definitely say I 1000% approve because I've seen the work that she's put in with the bylaws group and NatCon hosting and everything else. It's an honor to share the award this year with Melissa, I can say. Definitely.
Well, congratulations to you both. We'll stop embarrassing you and putting you on the spot. I believe the next thing on the list of things to do is a group picture. Am I correct? Am I in the right spot? Hopefully everybody's feeling really smiley after, oh, hold on. I'm getting a hold on from Valerie.
Yeah, before the group picture, I just want to give final logistics. So then after you're on your merry way before the reception, we just want to thank everyone so much for attending NatCon, for giving of your time and just showing up and being engaged, and we appreciate it. Just remember to everyone, if you are an official delegate, that there is a meal reimbursement and the details are on Chapter Central. You'll have to get with your treasurer. There'll be more information. Look out in your emails for a survey. And thank you again, and that's all I have to say. So now we can do the group picture.
If I recall, Anna does not have audio. So Anna says, I don't have audio and video, but please turn on your cameras if you want to join in the photo. And then one of us will translate the directions to smile or to make the silly face on Anna's behalf. So this may be an extra awkwardly long period of time in which you're making peace signs next to your face, but I hope that gives you all the giggles even more than you normally would. Oh, perfect. Thank you, Adam, for dropping the Chapter Central in there. So if you are looking for the rules on the meal, the delegate meal reimbursement, Adam has dropped the URL in the chat where you can see the reimbursement procedure. All right, so Anna says, say cheese and not move for a few seconds for her to take the picture. Yay. I think Anna gets great joy from having us all being frozen with a smile for so long. Okay, she says,
Okay.
relax your smile muscles. All right, next is funny pose, question mark. All right, everybody, funny pose. Okay. Thank you, Anna. I hope you guys were all enjoying looking at everybody else's squares and seeing what they were doing.
So this ends this session, and see you back at the clay.